Mm-mm. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome, all my aliens, apes, and zombies. It's Crypto Novo Friendly Friday, and we got one of my good friends back on. I think third time for Noah Becker. Noah Becker, how are we doing, man?
Doing good,
You
thanks.
know, last time we touched base, I know that you're in the middle of kind of getting like your first mints out there, kind of like your Genesis process, and you had about 30 of them. And now, I turn around and I look and I'm seeing all over your Twitter page right here is, your collection of crypto socialites. So, how's the collection been going? I see we have 21 collectors, huh? That's pretty outstanding.
Yeah, it's just kind of a collection that almost, like I was saying, like just kind of appeared out of nowhere. It was like I thought, oh well, I'll do a collection, and then I did 4 or 5 pieces, and I minted them, and then they all just like immediately sold. So I kept making them, and they kept selling, and collectors kept coming in, and it just kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of a shocking, surprising, like birth of this idea.
So, I mean, from your pretty much 16 years of experience, in the contemporary art world, I mean, I don't find it very surprising just because of the network of friends that you have, which I've seen, follow you on Twitter. But it's just like that almost rebirth or resurgence within not only the entire art space but just the collector space that I'm seeing here is there's new forms of collection where you're able to bridge maybe old forms of art with traditional art in a new future which you're it looks like you're kind of pulling them all together within the context of your NFT.
I don't know if I'm necessary. Well, yeah, there is a bit of that in there, but I mean, my the aesthetic of what I'm doing with my NFT is kind of somewhat derivative of art history from the 20th century, kind of so quote unquote traditional art world, or boomer art world, as some people like to call it. Um, and you don't see that in NFT very often. Is like people that are coming out of that area of the art world. But what ended up happening is I draw these all by hand. They start off as line drawings, and then they're digitally finished. So some of the lines end up becoming digital. The forms are colored in digitally, and then sometimes patterns are added. But it's like it's a digital and hand drawing process. I don't use an iPad for drawing. I use a sketchbook. So there's actually physical line drawings that are going to be like in some kind of show at some point, or maybe an auction with some of these or something. I'm supposed to be curating a show at Christie's at some point, and I'm supposed to be appearing in some auctions like that at other auction houses. So I was thinking maybe it'd be nice to have a grouping of the monochrome black and white pen and ink drawings of these, along with maybe some of them on screens. I don't know. There's lots of possibilities with that sort of thing. And then yeah, they have kind of overtones of pop art movement, and minimalism and pure abstraction and different forms of art that I've studied in art school and stuff like that. And
I guess
also,
I guess that was good. That's a perfect segue because that was going to be my next question is your influence from, you being around the space. Like how much was that a factor into this? Is it almost second nature for you to sit down and craft something like this as far as your knowledge in the
right.
space?
Well, I got involved in, I think it was March. I can't remember exactly, but it was fairly early. I was fairly early to the whole thing, and I did like 4 days after I got into it, I sold one piece on Foundation for 30 grand for like 10 Ethereum. And then I was like, oh, well,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
It's a head turner
uh,
for sure.
yeah, it was like a head turner and eye opener. And I was like, well, this has potential. And also, I like this. This is a lot of fun. So be interesting to keep doing it. And then I kind of got to a point where I was not doing one-of-one drops anymore. I had this vision that I wanted to try a collection. And then when I got involved with using OpenSea, it sort of changed that feeling for me about like what was possible with collections. And a couple of friends of mine have been very successful with collections.
So you're branching off your prior experience, and like, and with that, I mean, you're looking at one of your Warhols here, which is one of your primer pieces with this nice, beautiful orange background. And well, walk us through like when you built this collection. And I saw this one. We're gonna talk about the Mike Tyson one in a little bit. Well, how does this work into the collection and almost the name of the collection that you have here with the socialites?
Well, the idea is that Crypto Socialites are a group of social climbers and networkers who go to crypto cocktail parties. So it's kind of like if you're in the art world, like I have been for many years, or even the fashion world, or any kind of like thing where people need to network at parties, that you kind of run into a bunch of anonymous people that you'll never meet again that are trying to like get your number or find out if you can help them with their career or whatever it is. So I just kind of had this imaginary thing, also just because of the nature of the pandemic and stuff, that like there were these imaginary cocktail parties happening on the blockchain, and that the people that were going to these parties were crypto socialites. And then also if you buy a crypto socialite, it's living in your collection, and it's living on the blockchain, and there's this whole like interaction there. So there's a couple of different ways you could think about it, but it's kind of like a fictitious group of people based on people that you might meet at parties or something.
And I think that's what's so attracting, and I think that's why you have a lot of collectors, is because they can assimilate with however that could be in their own social status. Maybe it's something that how they view themselves or view other people within a social hierarchy, because it's in almost any type of networking and gathering type of situation. Right. And I don't know from experience, but I know from people that I've been talking through in the art world, particularly NFT space, because that's more or less who I talk to, is that there is a lot of that. And sometimes that hierarchy is unfair, because maybe the only people who are the social climbers are getting their art seen. And it shows the whole wide range of it. Something that I'm not even immune to or know anything about, but I've heard remnants about, and to hear it like firsthand for people who have handled it and dealt with it. They're seeing in the NFT space almost a reset button, where they have a quality, a fair fighting chance, where they don't have to be in the rubbing elbows with the black tie events to get their art out there. They can talk to someone, woman to woman, man to man, and get their art out there.
Right. So it's also like you were saying, how is it inspired by the space? It's also kind of like the aesthetic of the NFT space, of people like constantly networking and socializing and going to Clubhouse events and going to Twitter spaces. I mean, eventually what I want to do that I haven't done is like a crypto socialite cocktail party in Twitter spaces or Clubhouse that's like a series of crypto socialite events.
And that's what it is. And these are like their access tokens right here. I mean, all the ones that sold, number 10, number 11, number 12, number 15, number 18. And each one of them is like a different character within there. Maybe number 22 that has the 3D glasses right here. Maybe the person who owns this, the he, she, alien, ape, or zombie that owns this, maybe they're bringing an aspect to the art world that we don't know. Maybe they have a physical digital museum that you can maybe host something at. And that's how you network within the hierarchy of what you're creating, is a friendship circle. Some of these people are your friends. Some of these people have heard about your project through us. Some of the people are branching out. And that's what it is making that connection and that unity. How about this Mike Tyson piece right here? I mean, that definitely caught my eye.
Well, these are a little bit more expensive. The Warhol and the Mike Tyson are like 13 Ethereum per piece. And they are kind of based on, well, Warhol is based on a real person, although he's dead. Tyson is based on a real person, but he's a living person. But then this is the idea that like these socialites are gathering at these parties, and then Mike Tyson shows up, or Warhol is part of the scene, and then when the celebrities show up, they have high value just because. So these are almost priced at a higher value because of the celebrity and the social status of that socialite. The other ones are kind of, but then they may, once people have started relisting some. So somebody bought one for like $300, and then like that one that you just had on the screen, I think they relisted it immediately for way more than they had purchased it for. What did they relisted it as something, 2 Ethereum or something.
It was bought for 0.1 at your floor price, and now they're posted at 1 Ethereum right here. Yeah, and that's what you want to see is those secondary sales going.
Right.
And
there's another one that's like 2 Ethereum, I think, is like 11 grand, and they had bought it at 0.1. Initially, my floor that was my floor price, and I'm raising the floor on hopefully in the future, but kind of hovering over that. And then there's a few like larger priced items that are, like I said, like those are the celebrities.
And then speaking of celebrities, like you're almost your own celebrity. You're out on vacation. I don't want to say where, but one of your collectors was in the same proximity as you on vacation, and you actually met up for a cup of coffee here.
Yes, coincidentally, I said, "Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm just like a block away." And we met up and had a coffee and talked NFT space.
And that's the coolest thing, and that's why I love having artists on. Is so you get tell the stories about the art, which is the most important thing, the upbringing, and how you got to your point in this NFT space. But two, like how you're connecting with your fans and the collectors who are purchasing your pieces, because they want to hear about it, they want to hear about the artist, and two, they want to be seen as the savvy collectors as they're going after these really nice NFT projects that are coming out.
Yeah, well, they did a lovely job of creating kind of a digitally animated photo, and you can see their name there on the tweet. They're one of my collectors, and yeah, I mean, it just it's like, so I don't know what you call it. I don't know, just the flow of, not to be too wishy-washy, but it's like the flow, just natural flow of the universe or something.
I see it all the time in it, and it is very universal. And excuse me, it always comes back almost like to the Matrix, where we're on these common paths, and it's just like how you find these people. It's just, you're in such a small community that it's weird. Like, and then you'll maybe go back to your home state, and then know a lot more people, and then maybe you'll be on vacation somewhere else, and you'll put a tweet out there like, "Hey, I own one of your pieces too," and then all of a sudden, what you're doing in the NFT space with your crypto socialites is almost coming to live action, where like you're actually having these meetings and meetups and talking about each other and information in an NFT space. And it's just a matter of time before more people come in later on, and then you're viewed as someone who's been in the space for a long time, exactly the same as you've been making 10,000 words a week for the last 16 years with your group and your company in the magazine world. I mean, you're just forging in the next frontier here, which is just outstanding to see, because you know the game, you understand it, you've been in it. That's why I like hanging out with you, because you're teaching me about the art space, something that I'm not savvy to, and hopefully in return you pick up one or two, NFT crypto tidbits from me. But we're all in this together. That's the cool thing,
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and the publication that I do has really come into the space, And there's not many other art magazines in the world right now, and it's taking the other art magazines a little bit of time to come into the space. And because those are corporate entities, I'm more almost like a decentralized art magazine. Although we're established, I'm not controlled by a corporation or a board of directors.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. All right. You get to make the calls of what you want to put in there based on the people that work with and around you that I believe, don't quote me on it, that you've hired and put in those places because you trust the people in this community. So you're allowed to make those moves and make those calls. And what's happening is you're forging yourself as a pioneer in the space. So don't sell yourself short on that aspect, because
Right.
it's not even a risk. You enjoy doing it. So, that's why you're in the position you're at. That's why you're a successful individual. And that's why you're doing your homework and educating others while doing it. So you know what you're trying to stay 2 steps ahead. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate
So
that.
with that, staying 2 steps ahead, what do you have in the future here? All right. My math, I think my math, I don't even have to do math. I have to click a button to do my math here. 86 of these. Are we going to get to an even number to 100? What
100 is going to get to 100. But creating this collection is so much fun. I almost thought about just doing it perpetually. But for collectors, I think it's more interesting to cap it off at a certain number. Don't you?
Correct. And that's the thing is it's ever changing. It depends what your fans want. You can stay on this. You can stay on this right now and do the crypto socialites. And then you can maybe do tribute pieces for people who want to be a crypto socialite, that maybe want to have their NFT transformed into something, closer to your freehand style of drawing. So it can evolve in any way or any space. And what it comes down to, what I found out in this space, it comes down to your fans and the people who follow you. They'll give you the direction that they want to go into, because if you're making good stuff and you're a cool person, heck, they're going to buy it regardless, because they're going to see the stake of value behind the artist. That's what happens. And then you have a conversation piece that creates dialogue, that creates enjoyment, that creates little clubs and, little social networks. I mean, here we go. We're talking about it right here.
Yep. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to see how far I've gone on the journey since I spoke to you last. It's quite expanded since then.
Well, for me, it's all right. For me, it's kind of, I have littler kids, and sometimes when they don't see the grandparents for a while, they like pick them up like, man, you've grown so much. Like physically, they've grown like 5-6 inches, and they're a little bit harder to pick up. But in this case, it's the same thing. I haven't seen you in it feels like 3 or 4 weeks. It could have been shorter. And then all of a sudden to see how this has expanded, how the numbers have grown as far as, all the wonderful tweets that you're seeing from your fans. And the actual growth. I mean, what we had like 56 more NFTs that you hand dropped in that amount of time. So I know that you're working hard. I know that you're getting your voice out there, because, you came back to me like, hey, I got something coming out. If you got some free time, I'd love to jam with you. And I'm like, let's just go online. Let's just do it. And that's what we did. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your hard work. All right. So let's hit a little set button here. Let's give our fans at home kind of like the 2 minutes, howdy doody, what's going on with Noah Becker. And let's bring it on home here, my friend. All right. Noah Becker, what do we got going on? We got some fresh NFTs. We got some really cool NFTs coming out. I'm seeing a lot of people buying them, putting them back on the secondary market here with their crypto socialites. How has the business been since I've last spoken with you? And what's the best way that people watching right now can get their hands on one of these crypto socialites?
Well, they can go to OpenSea and search for Crypto Socialites on OpenSea. The collection is there, and you can see all the pieces that have sold, like quite a few. There's 21 collectors involved in the project now, joining us on the journey. And I've been really enjoying the whole process and the interaction with the collectors and the interaction with the fans. And it's just, it feels like it's just expanded so much since the last time I visited. Literally, the whole collection came together in the last month.
Wow, in 1 month. And I know because we spoke about a month ago, and I've seen how many of these you've have produced. Hand drawn, produced. I mean, this is wonderful. I love to look at it. Tell us a little bit about this piece here that just recently sold.
Well, this has a William Morris wallpaper design in the background, and it's a little bit of a kind of a tip of the hat to an artist named Kehinde Wiley, who uses a lot of kind of patterned backgrounds from William Morris. And then the socialite itself is kind of seems like a little bit nerdy, maybe kind of like a brainiac. Also, most of them don't have noses. That's one of the traits of a lot of them, is that their noses are imagined by the viewer. They don't, even the Warhol doesn't have a nose. And it's just that style of drawing that it's kind of a certain style of drawing when I draw them by hand. Even Mike Tyson doesn't have a nose, but it creates a kind of imaginary feeling where something is kind of brought into more imaginary that way, you know.
And it's amazing, like, even like when you look at it, you wouldn't even realize it because there's a lot of going on, especially with the colors.
Right.
Can you walk us through a little bit about like the color and how your trained eye in the art world in the last 16 years have maybe helped you produce some of these color schemes, I guess you'd call it?
Well, in actual fact, the colors of Mike Tyson's skin are taken directly from Mike Tyson, from photos of Mike Tyson, and I calibrated the color exactly to his skin tone. And I think that adds to the likeness of him in this particular one. And also the idea of a crypto socialite, like it would be somebody who's like a celebrity or a party goer or somebody who goes to art openings or cocktail parties and is involved in the crypto scene. So I got to the point where I realized that like a lot of them are anonymous people, and a few celebrities thrown in would be good, but maybe people that were relevant to crypto would be cool. I might add some other people that are relevant to crypto, like Vitalik or maybe Winklevoss twins or something. But I also kind of like the anonymity of some of these characters. Like you know, like that almost looks like a drag performer or something. That wasn't my intention, but by the time I finished, it kind of had wild hair, and I couldn't tell if that one was male or female, but it had this kind of decorative aspect to it. And then a lot of the other ones are kind of attractive women. Some of them are like older art collector types or sort of college students, or this one almost looks kind of like Elizabeth Taylor or something like that, like kind of the next superstar. And it's also interesting because I signed them on the figure at the bottom. My signature is like right on the NFT. And
that's awesome. I love it. I mean, you can tell by the colors, but just having that signature statement on there, I think it's cool. Cause I mean, you see that in art all over the place. And you know what, when I would go into museums, and there again, I don't know very much about art, but that was one thing that I always look for. And when I was young, I'd always call it the autograph, you know, cause I thought that was just like a way of like, you know what, this is mine. I'm proud of my work. I'm putting my name on my paper because that thing's going to be put right up on my refrigerator with an A+ on it. And that's what I think of when I see stuff like that.
Well, if you look at like Keith Haring or Picasso or Matisse or anybody, like their signature is almost part of the work.
So you've been using your art knowledge throughout the years to piece these together. This is awesome and outstanding. I know there's going to be a couple more because you're such the creative type that, you know, you're never going to stop creating. So there'll be a couple more in these. I just ask that come on back on the show so we can see what's going on, seeing how you are, you know, going through the NFT space as a crypto socialite, as an NFT socialite, and you know, just come back because it's just fun having you on.
Oh, great! Yeah, fun for me too. And when we get to 100 pieces, maybe we'll do a party on Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces or something.
Yeah, definitely we'll do that. All right, so we got Noah Becker here. All right. Whitehot Mag right there on Twitter. And then you have his OpenSeas right there on the bottom as well. This is Crypto Novo. You can swing by cryptonovo.io if you need one of these crazy looking filters. If you want one of these filters, you can get one of these filters. We can make it off of anything. I mean, heck, if you want Noah Becker's art as a filter and you own it, heck, we'll make you a filter of that. You could social climb that way. All right, Noah, that's it for us. Everyone have a friendly Friday. Stay positive and love life. Peace.
Thanks, bro.